What's up guys, Peter here from Reviews on Anything, and in today's video we're having a look at some training shoes. These are the Nike Metcon 2 shoes in very stealthy black, as you can see, and they are sort of an all-round training shoe from Nike, from the Metcon line. We've been testing a lot of shoes recently, mostly running orientated. These, pretty much anything from the sole to the construction to the inside of the shoes, are very much more designed for general training, not specific kind of court work, or it's not a specific basketball shoe or anything else, but it's sort of an all-round shoe that you can use anywhere from the gym to maybe doing some workouts outside in the park, and even some a little bit of running or sprinting if you really want to. Alright, so here we are with the Nike Metcon 2 training shoe. That rhymes. As you can see, this is the stealthy black version with the very standout-ish sort of greenish, yellowish heels. But obviously you can get them in a variety of colors to match your existing outfit and your personality, which is always great. This is a shoe designed for sort of general training. If you look at the product description that Nike gives, you could even say it's geared a bit more towards CrossFit, because they talk about handstand push-ups and so on. But it's pretty much a general training shoe that you can use anywhere from the gym to your CrossFit box, or maybe even outside if you really want to. Let's put one to the side and see what's what. Now you can see it's a pretty normal shoe design as far as shoe design goes, but the heel here sticks out slightly. It makes for a really comfortable shoe, but you can clearly see that it's designed without a specific sport in mind, I'd say. That also comes across in the sole, which gives you some good traction here, I suppose. But in contrast to, for example, running shoes we looked at before, there's no special structure to make your step go better, or any transitions and so on. Now let's start on the top. There's a little bit of mesh here on the front, which is obviously nice for ventilation and also keeps the weight of the shoe down. There's a bit of a sort of a bumper pad, I hope you can see it on camera, here on the front, so you can imagine when you're doing any kind of sports that involves stuff on your toes, push-ups, burpees and so on. This prevents the wear of the front of the shoe a little bit. Then you have the sole design with some extra grip here. You can imagine that's for rope climbing again when we're looking at CrossFit, which is nice. We actually looked at CrossFit shoes from Reebok before that had a sort of an extra system similar to this in place, also with rope climbing in mind. Then they call this a zero drag heel. Not really sure how that works, because in the end you can see it properly, it sticks out. So that, I'd say that means drag. But they say, Nike says, that this aids you in handstand push-ups, for example, that you sort of glide across the wall, I suppose. Not really sure if that works, but hey, it's a feature. Very traditional lacing system here on the top, nothing fancy going on there. The side of the shoe, same thing, pretty basic stuff. The heel is solid, but not too hard. So it has a bit of give in there, which is always nice. And you get a very good footbed here inside the shoe. According to Nike, that gives you a stable platform for explosive lifts. So you can imagine that when you're doing any kind of overhead barbell work, maybe deadlifts, squats and so on, that you have a stable platform to lift from. Which is true. You can see that there's no sort of like Nike Air, for example, has obviously the air bubble here in the back, which is good for cushioning. What is really bad for cushioning is that you can't really do any explosive lifts in it, because obviously the shoe cushions a lot of the energy away. Not in this case. Nice solid heel that has a slight bit of give, when you're doing maybe some short sprint work or anything. But there's definitely enough structure and enough compression possible with this sole to do, for example, squats, deadlifts and so on, and you're not wasting all your energy going into the shoe instead of into the lift, which is great. Now Nike also talks almost at great length about the dual rubber zones and so on. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of dual zones involved here, but what you really need to know is that it provides a comfortable shoe with a bit of give, but not too much, so you can apply power where you want to without it getting too uncomfortable, like weightlifting shoes, for example. Other than that, not that much to see, to be honest. The tongue of the shoe is fixed inside. You can probably not see that on camera, but I'll try to put a proper picture in. It's okay, it's fixed, but unlike other shoes, there's still enough room to get your foot in properly, even despite the fact that it sort of is fixed down here. So that's not a problem either. What is not a problem, but something to take into consideration with Nike shoes, is obviously the size. Nike shoes tend to fall slightly smaller than you think they will. This is my size, size 9, and it fits. But after that, it's you know, that's all there is to be said about it. It technically fits, but there's not a lot of wiggle room left. So make sure that you either try them out in the store, or that you go 1 or half a size bigger than you're used to, because Nike shoes tend to be a bit on the small side. The toe box here actually provides enough room for your toes to wiggle about a little bit, but still is tight enough to give you, you know, the confidence to plant your toes properly and to put the energy into the shoe, which is a nice touch. The footbed itself is comfortable. You can see that the heel cup here is nicely padded, but not too much, so they're nice and easy to get into. I would have liked to see a little lip here on the back to sort of pull your foot in, but it's something I like with pretty much all shoes, and it's not a feature that's available that often. You know, that's a small detail. I kind of like the stealthy look as well. The black is something that would definitely appeal to me. I'm not much for really flashy shoes, to be honest. So I think this is kind of nice and understated. And in the end, it's about the functionality of the shoe. Last but not least, the sole. Like I already said before, definitely not really aimed towards a specific sport. I suppose technically speaking, you could do some court work on it, maybe basketball or whatever. But for that, you might want something with a bit more like a sort of directional change sole in mind here, especially around the toe area. This gives you a good grip here, so you can do some sprints, maybe also for burpees, for example, when you land. There's good sticky rubber here to make sure you have some grip, but nothing too extreme, sort of still aimed at sort of an all-round sport. Altogether, I like them actually. They're good shoes. They're stiff where they need to be, flexible where they need to be. I like the look of them. You know, some features like the heel for handstand push-ups, will, you know, whatever. That's, I suppose, a feature that is there, but definitely not the reason you should buy them. Overall, they provide sort of an all-round shoe that you can get into, feel comfortable right away, and go about your business, whichever sport you do, really, without maybe going into a very specific sports shoe. This might be a good start to sort of see where you're at, and see maybe if you get started with CrossFit, for example. It's a good shoe to sort of try out, see if it is for you, and then move on to more specialized shoes. This was Peter from Reviews on Anything, with a look at the Nike Metcon 2 training shoes. Good overall shoe for pretty much any kind of sport that you want, for an affordable price, and I think with a good look. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!